Hello, hello, welcome. Today is day 1 of our 3-day challenge for ending karmic entanglements, soul ties, soul contracts, all of that kind of stuff. Today is, as usual, day 1 is a very educational and informative day for us. I'm going to go through some details about what soul ties are, what soul contracts are, and what karmic bonds are. I have notes, so that's why I keep looking over to the side. I wanted to make sure that I covered everything. I had a lot of questions come up when we were promoting this, so I'm hoping that some of those people will be able to hop on here live to ask questions, but hopefully I'm going to cover the majority of what was asked. Okay, so it's super important for us to first and foremost understand what these things are, where they came from, why they're there, and why they do need to be terminated. It's super important. So that's what I'm going to cover today for us and go through that, because this is, if this has come to your reality, hi Laura, then it's time for you to step off the karmic wheel. So that's how our realities work. That's how our experiences work. If some type of information comes in for us to utilize, it was invited in at some level by us, right? So if you have access to this information, you're being called to take action on this at some level. Some level, your higher self has chosen to go ahead and step off the karmic wheel in this lifetime, in this go around, and there's a reason for that. So I hadn't planned to talk about this, but it's coming through that I need to. What we have to understand first before we go into this is that we as divine beings are part of the universe. So the universe is really truly that energy, and I'm sorry if I go further than people are with their religious beliefs. Take what resonates, leave the rest behind without judgment. But the universe itself and that energy that we call God is the universe. It's everything. It's the energy of creation. And the sole purpose of that energy is to expand. It's just like anything else. You have a plant, you have a tree, you plant it. Its sole purpose is to grow. That's it. It's to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger, and to reach its potential, which, you know, if left unchecked, it could be unlimited. So that's what the universe is. That's what this energy is. And we are having physical experiences as a part of that whole holistic being's experiences. Okay, so one of the reasons that we come here into this incarnation is because there's a lot of contrast. And if you think about it, we have to have contrast in order for us to expand, in order for us to know what we don't like, so that we can put those, as Abraham Hicks says, those rockets of desires out there into the universe, saying, this is what I do like, because I've seen what I don't like. Now I have perspective. Now I have this this experience, this shadow effect, right? We can't have a shadow without light. Okay, this is necessary. It's a necessary dance in order to get that full expansion, because the contrast is essential for that. All right, so we are here to expand and to grow. Now, when we reincarnate, I'm trying to digest the information that's coming in. When we reincarnate, we are coming back for multiple experiences, a lot of times to rebalance things that we have participated in, or to correct things at some level that we feel that we were wronged, or that we we didn't enjoy that experience and that we're trying to find a balance. This is another thing that we have to understand about the energy of the universe. Everything is about balance, right? So when you think about it from this larger perspective, and I know that I'm going to take you down a pretty deep rabbit hole with this one, but try to expand with me and try to be opened, set aside your critical mind, and go into this space with me and realize that as we are all one, and we are all having various experiences for the same energetic entity that is everything. When one of us attacks another part of us, of this energetic entity, it creates an imbalance. And so the need for that repetition or another new lifetime comes along in order to correct that balance. This is what we call karma. Karma is not something to be like, I'm gonna stick it to ya, here it is. Karma doesn't have any type of this is right, this is wrong. Karma is balance. And that's all it is. It doesn't have this was the right thing to do, this was the wrong thing to do. But what it does is it balances things. So if one of us was wronged and the other wronged us, either in this lifetime or in another, there has to be a rebalancing of this. If that does not occur, we're going to continue to repeat until it occurs, because it's a law of science. It's like gravity. It has to rebalance itself. It has to. There has to be balance. It's like a pendulum. Once it finally stops, it's going to have found itself in the middle. This is just how it works. It just is what it is. So there's no kind of attachment with this. And it was interesting because as we were promoting this challenge, there was feedback and concerns that people were sharing about, well, what if we're supposed to have these connections and these contracts and these soul ties, and what happens when we break them, and are we going to have to repeat this, and etc. So I wanted to really make sure that I clarified and explained this, because this is a big deal. And I really want for those who get touched by this to understand that all the information that I receive it directly from source, and I make it a point to clear my energy and verify that any information that I receive is from the divine and is for the highest good of not only myself, but for all living kind, for the expansion of the universe. Okay, so I don't hear other people and then regurgitate the information and then try to kind of sell myself as an expert on stuff. That's not who I am. That's not what I'm about. For those that are new to me, you will know that I'm a pretty real person. I'm literally on here after I just got home from the gym. I have not even showered. I talk about this a lot because it's super important for people to understand that our voice does not lose value due to our appearance. Now, do I want to look like I don't care about myself? That's different. That's a different energetic vibration to put out. But if I, just post gym, it doesn't affect my message, right? It doesn't say that my message is any less effective. And I really think it's important to make space for people, mostly women, to understand that we don't have to be 100% on all the time in order for what we have to say to be valid. This is a very, very important message that I am very passionate about, that we do not have to have our lashes on, our lipstick on, our hair done in order for what we say to be valid. So having said that, I'm not somebody who's just going to spout stuff and lead people astray. That is not who I am. And speaking of karma, that would be, that would be a pretty atrocious thing for me to bring down on myself. So that's not why we're here. We're here to learn. If this does not resonate with you, it means that you're not ready for it. If you were attracted to it and brought here, it means that it's for you to experience at some time. But if you're like, you're just not ready, and that's okay. There's no judgment. I would like to invite, if anyone does have specific questions, to comment on the live here. Let me know. If you are hopping on here with me, say hi. I would love to see whoever's here on the live with me. I know it's tough this time of day for people to hop onto lives, but we got to do it when we can do it, right? And I've done at least put in the effort to make it at a specific time so that at least people know when I'm going to be on. Okay, so having said all that, you understand kind of the basic energies. Hi, Billy. You understand that we are all connected, and when one of those energetic expressions hurts or attacks another, we're attracting we're attacking the whole thing. And so that entity that we are a part of, that we are having a physical experience as an individual, as a part of, for the purpose of the expansion, then there has to be a level of balance that comes back to that. It's law. It's universal law. That's what karma is. It's about the balance. So why are we coming into this time where people are feeling the call? I'm having deja vu right now. It's wild. If anyone's wondering what deja vu really is, it's actually a clip of a memory, as we're getting ready to talk about this, from your soul planning to know that you're on the right path. It's like a memory where you're like, I've done this before. It's because you've seen it all. You saw it all before you incarnated. So I'm right exactly where I'm supposed to be, which is really cool. So what we have to understand is through this expansion of the universe, we are coming into a time where more people, more souls that are inhabiting physical bodies are being called to step into the next level of the ascended masters. To come, we're going to reincarnate, but at a different level as those ascended masters, so that the ascended masters can also graduate into a next level for the purpose of the expansion. Here's an example. I used to help run a company, and when we first started, I had a lower rank in the company. And as we grew, hi Iva, as we grew, we had to create new positions, right? Because we had more staff, we needed more oversight, we needed more management, things like that. So eventually I went into a space of pretty much running the company, and then I had to have support staff. So think about that from the universe's perspective. It's not different. When things expand, you need more people, it's the best way I can explain it, in place to help guide and lead as those are developing and ascending more. We are coming into a new age. When Sedna moves out of Taurus into Gemini, we are stepping into the age of alchemy and out of the witch's wound age. Okay? So we are paving, gosh, I've got chills all over me. We are paving the way for this to happen. And as we do this, the ascension of the planet is going to rise, and more of us are going to be called up to step into a higher level of coaching, a higher level of influence over humanity. My dog, he's so excited about this. He's like, yeah, I'm ready. So we have to get off the karmic wheel. In order to get off the karmic wheel, we have to break these soul ties, these karmic agreements, and our soul contracts. So let's talk about those. Does anyone have any questions yet so far about what I've covered before I move on? Because I know this is pretty meaty stuff. This stuff's super important. I wish that millions of people were watching this right now instead of what I see are 4. But I'm supposed to be here right now, so this is where we're supposed to be. One day, millions will be reached by my message, and that's okay. We'll get there when it's time. If you have questions, let me know. I'm going to keep going. So let's talk about the different kinds of connections. We have soul ties, we have soul contracts, and we have karmic bonds. Now, karmic, you could have like karmic connections, karmic ties, you know, that's why I use the generic term of karmic bonds. It's really kind of anything related in karma. And I want to tell you what each one of those are, how they are created, how they're reattached. I'm reading my notes. And then why it's so important that we do this and how we're able to. Okay? So, first and foremost, soul ties. We're starting on that. How far along in this are we? Whoever's watching, can you make a comment saying soul ties so that when people come back to watch, or if they want to watch it again, because this is a lot of information, it's super important. Can someone comment soul ties for me, please and thank you, so that people know where in the video I've started talking about that. Same with when I go to soul contracts and karmic bonds. If someone can please do that. All right, so soul ties. Soul ties are created very similarly to how karmic bonds are created. Hello, Raziel. They are created through karma, through connections in this reality. They are, examples would be wedding vows, pledges to a nation, things like that, that are vows to a church, vows to an organization. I'm sorry, I'm getting stuff coming in. My cat was just also like loving on me. So any kind of those drastic measures that we take when we make a vow to another person, when we make those promises, I'll never be happy again with anyone else, you know, those kinds of statements, those very powerful statements, that is creating a soul tie with another person. Soul ties are created in this reality. Okay? So this is something important to understand because it's different than the soul contracts. Soul ties are created from us standing in our free will, agreeing to make another covenant between us and another, I don't like using the term person because it's a fantasy. Like, it's not even a reality. We're not people. We're not individuals, but I'll just use that terminology because it's the easiest for us to understand in the dimension that we are currently residing in. So when we make this agreement to another person, we are making a soul tie with them. We are connecting with them. We are becoming enmeshed in their energy. So we are now intertwined. That's the word. Entwined with them in their energy. This is very difficult, especially if this is someone who we've divorced, if this is someone who we have broken up with, if this is someone who we have fallen out with. We still have an energetic immersion. We are still enmeshed in that person's energy. So let's say that this is someone that you had made a vow with years and years ago. You're now two completely different people. They are not motivated. They are very depressed. They are a very low vibrational person, and you are someone who knows they have a bigger calling. You're striving, you're working to achieve that, yet you constantly feel this anchor, this pulling down on you, and you can't understand what it is. Where is this coming from? It's because energetically there is an anchor still between you and this person, and their negative, low vibrational energy, beliefs, and behavior. Even if you haven't talked to them in 10 years, they are still affecting you and your energetic vibration. Boom. Like, mind blow, right? Like, holy shit. That's not good, right? That's not good. We make these vows to create bonds, but yet nothing happens to break those. So at some level, we are still enmeshed and involved with this individual, even if we've cut all communication and we haven't even seen or spoken to them in a very long time. Those are soul ties. So if anyone has questions about soul ties, please let me know. Now, the next thing are the soul contracts. So, Laura, if you're still on here, if you can just comment soul contracts so people can know. I just think it's easier, especially when people want to go back, because this is very meaty information, and it's very important. So, the soul contracts are created in our pre-planning session before we reincarnate. So those contracts are created before we incarnate into our new life, when we are in soul and energetic form. Okay? So usually those are going to be contracts that we have to make with, you guessed it, people that we have created soul ties with. Because karma has to have balance, right? So at some level, there has to be a balance. So when we are all back into our natural state, where we are fully immersed back into the energy that is all, we now have to sit down with each other and say, I'm so sorry, I made this soul tie with you. Now we need to make an agreement on how to break this and what to do with it to create balance. Wow, right? This is important. This is a big deal to understand. So in these pre-planning sessions, we agree with other souls that we are going to play out certain experiences with them in order to have a specific result. Now, this could be someone, for example, a twin flame. The twin flames, those are usually created by us from past lives. Whoa, what? They are. And in the soul contract, and I literally just got that information just now. Wow. Shit. It's like we think this is such a like magical thing. Like, I have a twin flame, and it's like, you actually really spun up some karmic debt there. It's like, oh crap. But anyway, so in this soul planning session, where we are, when we are in spirit form, and when we are fully immersed into that energetic environment, we are making these agreements so that things can get played out in a certain way. Now, these agreements can absolutely be to help you awaken, to help you remember, because you've also made a decision at some point saying, I'm done doing this. So it's so funny, because we think that those decisions are made in our current lifetime when we're like remembering this. But it actually occurs, and I'm getting those chills again. Those are, if you're ever repeating a message that you feel that you're getting from spirit, and you feel it's like it drops, almost like an egg cracked over your head, and you can feel like the cool energy, and it like runs down your spine. That is confirmation from spirit that you are correct. That is truth. It's telling you. We call them angel bumps. It's like, this is true. And of course, I get it like derailed and I forget exactly what I was saying. But as we've made these connections with people, oh yeah, so from the past lives. Okay. So what happens is, thank you. We actually remember in a previous lifetime from the one that we actually break the cycles. Wild, right? So what happens in that lifetime is we have to come to something happens, and we realize that that we're done, that it's time to ascend. We're done with this journey of having to reincarnate. We're done playing out the drama. We're done reenacting the pain. We're done really just like replaying this, and we're ready to step off of that. We call it stepping off of the karmic wheel and move into our ascension. We move into our next level. So what happens is, after that lifetime ends, we go into a pre-planning session where we make the soul contracts with other individuals, where they make the contract that they will help us on our journey to awaken, to remember who we truly are, so that on this plane we can begin the ascension process. So this is something that's really, it's also important, and it's really kind of a cool thing. It's something I actually talk about a little bit in my next book, Mirror Soul, which will be available this week. But when we can't just like ascend, like it's not like we're done. It has to be a gradual process. Otherwise, it would actually be very harmful. It's like this slow awakening process where it's like you begin to remember this and then you remember that and you're like, okay. And then the information starts to make sense. You start to remember your truth. You remember your origination. You remember how to connect with spirit. You remember how to tap in and tune into your higher self. You start remembering this, and no one can tell you how to do this. No one can do this for you, which is so important. This is why I say that I am a spiritual activator, because I do help to activate people, but the information that comes in, it needs to come from your own higher self. That's important as well. So we have this experience where we're saying, all right, I want to wake up. I want to remember so that I can begin this ascension process in this lifetime, so that when my soul leaves, it has leveled up enough to a point where I can stay in that realm. Okay? Wow. This is all like super juicy stuff. So we have to have that lifetime where we're like constantly going through this growth, awakening. It's all making sense. I'm seeing it all. We're remembering, we're forgiving, we're stepping into observation and not feeling like we are connected here. I struggle personally when I go out in public a lot. And that's why a lot of very highly spiritual people are very reclusive. They're the hermit. Because being around a lot of people who are still unconscious is very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. It's very awkward. It is highly uncomfortable. And it's not a thing of like, I'm better than they are. It's a thing of when that ascension begins to happen, trying to still exist in an atmosphere that is lower vibration than where you are now. It's uncomfortable. It just is. So it's an interesting thing. And the more evolved and the more awakened you become, the more it's going to feel uncomfortable to be around large groups. But that's where you're going to go into the teaching mode to help awaken more people, which is why we're here. This is what we're doing. All right, so those are the soul contracts. Those happen in pre-planning sessions to help ensure a specific outcome in our current lifetime. Okay? Then we have our karmic bonds. Karmic bonds are similar to soul ties, but they are created in different ways. They're not created by speaking a vow or making a promise. They are created through other actions and behaviors. So for an example, this is why this is something I'm very, very passionate and adamant about teaching and wanting to make sure that people understand, is this is why we do not interject our energy into other people's experiences by trying to manipulate their experience. This is why I say so much when people are like, someone wronged me, how do I do a spell to, XYZ and hurt them? I'm like, you don't, because when you do that, all you're doing is creating a karmic bond with them that you are going to absolutely have to play out in some way or another. Some way. It's not over. It's not like, oh, I did this, I did the karma. It doesn't work like that. We cannot seek revenge thinking that that's going to be the result of karma. By us tying something down to the planet, that does not create gravity. It's like that's where we get stuck in our like ego and in that super low vibrational like thick atmosphere of the 3D where we're thinking, oh, I can take care of this. It's like, and you can beat gravity. Like it's not, it's not like that. So when we force our energy into someone else's experience by trying to manipulate their experience, by trying to affect it really in any way, we are creating karmic bonds. We are putting ourselves in debt to these people. Yeah. So when we think, I'm going to stick it to them, I'm going to get them back, we are actually creating a karmic debt to that individual. So even if they have wronged us, for us to intentionally try to interject in that way, that is putting us karmically in debt to them. Wow. Don't do it. Don't. I promise you, you would much rather them have a karmic debt to you, because the universe will find a way to balance it, because that's what it does. So even if that person, if you don't see it balancing out with them, that doesn't matter. You will see it balance in some other way. And if you would just allow that and welcome that, just let it take care of itself. I promise you, this is not something that you want to mess with, because it's just going to really prolong your suffering. It's not a good thing. Does anyone have questions about soul ties, soul contracts, and karmic bonds? Before I move on to, I'm confused by my own notes. Look at me go. Why we want to break them. I kind of already covered that a little bit, but if Laura, are you still on here? Or if someone is still on here, I see I have viewers, but you guys are very quiet. I'm assuming it's because y'all are like writing notes or something, because this is very meaty information. Someone asked last month, and I immediately went in and I was like, I need this answer, and like it just downloads, comes in. It's very, very powerful, important stuff. All right. Why we want to break all of these. Because in order for us to get off the karmic wheel, we have to break them. It's really that simple. I wish that there was like, something else. But in order for us to stop needing to reincarnate here, and for our soul to fully ascend into the next level of our experience, we have to break all of these bonds. These bonds, they do not serve us in a positive way for the overall goal. Now, if someone gets upset and thinks, well, I can't break the bond I have with my children, or I can't break this bond that I have with my husband, that just means you're not ready, because you're still seeing it in a form of lack, as if you're going to lose something from that, instead of realizing what you will gain from it. And there's no judgment in that. That's okay. That's a perfectly fine space to be in. It's just where you are in your journey. There's nothing negative about saying, I want to break these energetic or karmic bonds with other people, because what you're doing is you're freeing them and you're freeing yourself. So it's like you both want to be able to ascend and lift up, but you're literally both like holding each other down. So when the cord is cut, it actually sets you both free. And it does not mean what a lot of people think it means, where they're like, oh, well, if I cut the energetic cord with my husband, that's going to, affect their marriage in some way. When in actuality, it's going to allow both people to fully stand in their identity of their full soul expression, instead of that enmeshed energy that's not allowing that full expansion, if that also makes sense. Please ask questions if you have them. I know it's a lot. This is very like advanced stuff that I'm coming at you guys with. So this is why we need to break them, because the more I'm trying to explain what I'm seeing in my mind. What I'm seeing is like really a bunch of people that are all like corded up. They're all like, there's lines connecting with them, almost like a big like sacred geometry, but instead of at the points, nothing, it's people. They're all like connected in here. And what I'm seeing is when one tries to move, the others, you know, they can't move, right? They're all stuck. So when one steps into the space and says, I'm going to cut this, there's now movement. And then another one says, I'm going to cut this one. There's movement. And eventually, when they're all cut, all of those individuals can finally move into their full destiny and their full experience and have that that full experience for themselves so that they can reach their full potential for what they're trying to accomplish here in this lifetime. So it's very important for us to be cutting these bonds. It's not serving us. If we feel like we need them, it's because we're still in a lower dimensional ego state, which is okay. It just means, again, you're not there. All right. Why do we have to break them in this lifetime? Like, why would we make them? Why do we have to break them? Well, we already talked about why we make them, really. So I don't need to go back through that. But the reason that we need to break them here in the physical realm is because that's the only place where we have free will. When we come into this space and we say, okay, we're going to have these soul contracts. I already realized in that past life that I'm ready to wake up. So I'm going to have these soul contracts with other people to play out in a way that I need to settle the other karma. And once I get to a certain level, I'm going to have someone help me remember. And then that's when I'm going to make the conscious decision in my own free will, in my own sovereignty, that I'm going to break these contracts. So this is the big question that came up. Well, what if we're supposed to have those contracts? You only have as many as you need until you get to the point where you've decided not to have them anymore. We made the conscious decision to hop off of the proverbial wheel and to stop that cycle because we had had enough to where we began to remember who we are, why we're here, and what we're doing. It was enough. We had finally had enough. And there we go. That's where we got to. That's why they repeat. And if we hadn't gotten there, they would repeat again. And if we hadn't gotten there again, they would repeat again. All right, it told me I need to move. I'm literally going to move outside. Because this is important and I'm almost done. All right, so that's the reality of it. That's what happens. So we don't have to worry and sit there and say, well, what if I miss out on something else that I'm supposed to experience? There's nothing else to miss out on because it's only set up and designed, sit down, to continue with this experience until you're done with it. It's that simple. I'm going to end it on that today, especially since the connection is messing up and that's how Facebook loves to do us. If anyone has any more questions that come up, if you have questions really about any of this, feel free to comment them and I will do what I can to answer. And then tomorrow I'm going to walk you guys through a energetic cord cutting to cut all of them. You may want to pick a specific individual to do it with, or you can do it kind of like as a blanket thing. But you have to make the conscious decision in your own free will that you're ready to do it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going back and forth. I've been downloading a lot. I might actually have to record it and then just post it. I'm not sure if doing a live for that one is going to be the best because it's going to be pretty in-depth. And I think that it's going to be better if I can do it when I can tune in and connect more. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Namaste.